Welcome to the Health Coach Nation podcast. My name is Hailey Rowe, and I'm a sales and marketing coach and LinkedIn lead generation service provider. I work with health, life, and mindset coaches and online service-based business owners to help them get more sales, shift their time to the client-generating activities instead of just the busy work, and overcome that social media overwhelm. Let's get into the show. If you're ready to take on your next paying clients, I have good news. My free 4 Basics of Client Attraction and How to Stand Out class is live at haileyrowe.com/client-attraction. In the class, you're going to learn the top 2 traits I recommend for most coaches and entrepreneurs if they really want to turn this into a career. You're going to learn how you can build demand for your services and stop getting crickets on your posts. You're going to learn the sales roadmap I used to improve my sales conversion rate and help my clients do the same. And you're going to learn so much more. So go to haileyrowe.com/client-attraction and get your copy of the class today.
Hello, I am here today with Demi, and she's going to pronounce her last name. I think I know how to say it, but I don't want to mess it up because I haven't said it in at least a couple weeks now. So this is a client of mine who I absolutely adore. I love her drive. I love seeing her conquer the world with her business. And she is going to be sharing with you some of her aha moments she's had through our private coaching, some of the things that she's working on nowadays. And she's still, obviously, how long have you had your business?
It'll be 2 years in August.
Woo! Okay. And we all know those first 2 years are the biggest learning curve. And sometimes too, where you're juggling other jobs and other things at the same time while you're trying to transition. So I'm really excited to interview you more about this journey. But first, why don't you pronounce your last name and tell everybody who you are, where they can find you, all that good stuff.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Demi Agaiby. The easy way to pronounce my last name is Agaiby. So that's the way that I tend to kind of present it. And I am currently both a dance educator and also a mental performance consultant for athletes and performers. I created my business Beyond Horizons Performance for specifically the performing arts community and athletes so that they can increase their confidence, gain resilience, and achieve their goals all through mental skills training. And like I said, my business is only 2 years old. And so this process up until now has been full of learning experiences and ups and downs. And I'm actually more and more excited to continue the journey as we go on.
Yeah, I love it. So tell me a little bit about why we initially connected. What were you dealing with in your business and what led you to be like, hey, maybe I could use a coach?
Okay, so I personally struggled with the accountability portion, and everybody's different. And I always thought that I was somebody that was like internally motivated and that like can do the thing and doesn't need somebody to like tell them what to do or be really on them about meeting deadlines. When you're your own boss, well, I mean, like it's more difficult. And I thought to myself, I need somebody who can lay things out for me in an organized way. So my brain isn't haphazard and a mess and a jumble because I'm a creative and that just tends to happen. I need somebody who can help me stay organized, help me set realistic and achievable goals, and then also to encourage me. I felt as though I was in a place where, it's just me and my business, and what I do is pretty niche, and I needed some encouragement. I needed somebody to say like, hey, what you're doing is amazing and what you're doing has value. It's just we need to pivot on how we're kind of communicating that value and how you're sharing that value. And then you're all set, right? So it was like threefold. It was like organization, goal setting, and then also just somebody to be like, hey, you got this. I know it's hard. This is a part of the process and it's possible to continue on. So
I love it. Yeah, definitely. And what were I know for you, some of the things you wanted to do was kind of clarify what your offer was going to be going forward, because you had a couple different things going on, a couple different offers. Maybe they were a little underpriced. So tell me about that. Where were you feeling scattered when it came to your offers? And also how did the coaching help with that?
Yeah. So like I said, I'm a creative, so I had a bunch of ideas. And in my mind, I just wanted to meet people where they were. So I had a plethora of offerings. I had workshops, I had one-on-one sessions, I had blog posts, I had oh my gosh, I don't even remember, but I had way more than that. And what I was finding was that it was overwhelming, not just to like the people that I was, my potential clients, it was overwhelming to me because I didn't have like a narrowed focus or a narrowed scope. And I wanted to still meet people where they are while also recognizing my needs and satisfying my needs of like, I need to make money off of this. Sure, I can meet you where you are and I can collaborate with you on like what's important for you and where you are financially, and we can come to an agreement, but I can't sacrifice, my time without the correct compensation. And I always felt super self-conscious. Like anytime Hailey, you would be like, I think we can raise it a little bit more. I'd be like, oh, are you sure? Like, and I remember saying like, the comma makes me nervous. Like if there was a comma in the number, I was like, I'm going to charge people that much money. And now looking back, it's like, yeah, I am going to charge that much money because that's what this work is worth. And that's how much my time is worth. And I know that, once I'm selling or like portraying that number, it's giving the concept of like, whoa, this is an investment. This is something that like will pay off. Like, and I feel that way. I feel the same way too. And actually something that helped me kind of reframe that whole like, oh my gosh, there's a comma, or like, was that term investment of like, I'm asking my clients to make an investment, not just in like, yes, the money aspect, but this is an investment in their overall well-being and their overall performance career. So I always like to frame it as like, yeah, this is the cost, but you have to understand that the cost has no comparison or no significance as it relates to like how much you're going to be actually benefiting, and like laying out those benefits of like, I'm taking things off your plate for this when I'm doing this. You are going to like reach your goals quicker and faster. You're going to have a support system that you didn't have before, like listing all of those benefits and being like, it's a no-brainer. Of course you should invest in this. This is what you would be getting with it. And so that like mental reframe of like, it's an investment was really helpful. And then also kind of just really asserting myself and saying, look, Demi, if one of your goals is to make money and one of your goals is to increase your revenue, you're going to have to do this. And so it's kind of like biting the bullet and taking that step forward and saying, this makes me nervous. I'm really uncomfortable with this, but I know I have to do it. So there's a lot of elements of like risk taking, trust, etc.
Yeah. And it's been really fun to see your confidence and conviction grow in what you do and what you offer, and also solidifying that so that you're not overwhelmed by your own offers is probably a reason why you feel more confident about it now, I'm assuming. But the other thing is, yeah, it is scary to raise your rates or try something different. But at the same time, it wasn't just because we said, oh, well, you should just charge more. It was strategically like, if you want to have this many clients and you want to help them at the highest level and you want to feel like you're over delivering and not scattered and like having these uncommitted random clients who come in and out, it's like we have to structure the business a little bit differently. So tell us a little bit about what were some other, because you said you were scared to, charge more. I'm sure it was also scary for you to invest in your business when, it is still something that you want to grow even more and all that. So what helped you, why did you do this investment, and like, what helped you have the confidence to do that?
Yeah. So I actually, funny story, reached out to Hailey in like last September because I knew that I needed this help. And when she said her rate, I was like, that's exactly how much money I have in my business bank account. It's just not possible. And I always knew, I'm like, she'll always be there. But right now, I know I need support and I just can't afford that right now. So I used a free business coaching platform called Score. And it did what it needs to do for the time being. And it got me, until maybe January, February-ish, maybe even into March, where I was like, okay, I feel like I'm running in circles and I need a little bit more direct help, because I was only meeting with those business coaches on a monthly basis. And so it seemed like I was just playing catch up constantly. But I needed a little bit more, for lack of a better term, I hate to say it, but like hand holding of like, this is step by step, day by day process. And by that point, I had built up a little bit more in my business bank account, and I was able to invest in Hailey's resources. And I was actually just thinking about this the other day. I've already made back what I spent on coaching. And whether I have a hard time thinking, it's like, is it just because I had Hailey as a coach, or is it just like, because I think it's twofold. I think like the hard work paid off, and then also having learning those skills and having you as like a mentor and a coach really helped with that. But yeah, it was very intimidating to, especially as a growing business, to be like, I'm investing a lot of money in this, and it can't go wrong. Like, I have to put my money where my mouth is, and I have to work hard. Like, if Hailey is going to be like my coach, like, I'm going to meet her where she's at, and I'm going to hustle, because I want to make sure I'm getting the most out of the experience.
I love it. Yeah. And so what I love is you planned for it. You kind of, didn't say it's all or nothing. It's just later I'm going to make it work. And you did.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is, it's an identity shift. So it's not, you're right. It is twofold. It's not just having structure, strategy, support, which I do think can help, of course, but you created your ROI because of how you were showing up, because of the identity shift that happened when you're like, I became the kind of person who puts my money where my mouth is, who invests in myself, who makes it happen. Mm-hmm. And it's been really cool to see you grow and go for it. And I will say, I work with a lot of clients, and a lot of them do need a lot of hand holding. But the key is like, nobody can want it. I want it so bad for my clients, but nobody can want it more than you want it for yourself. And so the clients who match or exceed, like who show up in our relationship the way that you did, I'm always like, those are my favorite clients to work with, because it's like, this is their commitment. This is a priority to them. And I have to give you kudos to, and you're like young, and I don't know how old you are exactly, but you seem young to me. And you're just like, it's so fulfilling for me to see, because I started my business young, and like, it's just like, I just love it. It brings me so much joy. So regarding what your favorite parts were about having support, what were some of your favorite parts of private coaching?
The fact that I could pick up my phone and be like, Hailey, that was a major thing. Whether it was I'm creating a new flyer and I don't know how to market myself. That was something that was really hard, where it was like, I have no idea what to put on the flyer. I've made flyers before, and they look like this, and I think they look like trash, but I have no idea how to change that. Being like having, I'm forgetting the word, but like, not my sales. Oh, my elevator pitch. No, not my elevator pitch. What's that little term that is like
value statement?
Yeah. It's like a brief statement of like who I am and what I do. Game changer. Because as somebody who is in such a niche field, I found myself like tripping over my own words and trying to explain what I did. And it took up way more time than it needed to. But if I was to like just say the statement of, I'm a mental performance consultant for performers and athletes. I help them reach their goals, build resilience, gain confidence through psychological skills training. Boom. That tells you like essentially like what you need to know in that first moment about me. And I think it's like intriguing, right? It's like, wait, you can help me reach my goals. You can help me do this. Like, so I think it's just like a good fish hook. And so that was really nice, just to like, for marketing purposes, if I needed you to look at something. If I was upset about rejection, that was something when I would get no's, or I would get frustrated with how to communicate with clients. That was, or even how to like reach out to potential clients. All of that was really helpful, that I could just pick up my phone. And then also celebrate, to be like, hey, I did this. And like, this is on the table. And then like for you to be like, yes, awesome, let's do it. Like that type of energy. So, but yeah, by far it was like having that access to you.
Nice. Awesome. Were there any, do you want to share some wins? I know you've already covered a lot of them. Having your elevator pitch finalized, your offers clarified, some new partnership opportunities. So like, tell us a little bit about what are any other wins you want to add or takeaways?
My social media transformed. And that was something that I also wanted help on, and why I sought business coaching, because I was extremely intimidated by social media. I felt pressure to perform. And as a performer myself, it was so different. Like, I'm used to being on stages. I'm used to performing in front of large audiences. I've done it my whole life, but there was something really, really nerve-wracking about social media. And I think in our time together, I was able to reframe my perspective and look at social media as a business tool, not a social platform. And I think that perspective, still to this day, is really productive for me. Like when I'm going on social media, this is a business tool. This is a way for me to communicate, to share, to reach out to, it's just another opportunity for me to kind of expand my business. So that was a complete game changer. My content changed. The way I structure and create my content changed, so that it's way more effective. So like, I'm getting a message across, as opposed to feeling like I'm just posting and it's not really doing anything, or it's not really communicating what it is that I do or a benefit. I started a podcast.
Yes. Woohoo. And it's beautiful and amazing. The intro, the outro, the cover, I'm like, I love seeing it. And
Yeah.
everything.
So I started a podcast, Performers on the Rise. That was a leap that I've been wanting to take for a while. I was just building up to it. I stopped blogs. I did not enjoy blogs. Instead, I wanted to do my podcast, create a podcast. So I did, which, little side note, you can listen to that on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And I talk about a plethora of mental skills and strategies that aren't just like related to performers and athletes, but just like the everyday human being, which is really nice. So of course I do cater the content a little bit more towards athletes and performers, but it can always be applied to any person. So like the one that I just released was on self-talk, how you talk to yourself and why it's important to gain self-awareness in the way that you're talking to yourself, and how to structure positive self-talk. And then I have some more coming out this coming month. I did my first interview with an actor, so that was fun. We talked about authenticity and social media in that one. And then I have some more on problem solving and perfectionism. So
amazing.
Yeah, it's been a lot.
Nice. Amazing. And so you also have been doing some, kind of just share like who you've been working with, or I know you've been leading some workshops and things like that. So tell us about what does your business look like now? Like, are you working with private clients or groups or all that good stuff?
Mm-hmm. So a lot of my work is based on referrals. So I kind of am using that to my advantage, and I'm finding that it's, really enhancing the overall like process. So I did gain 2 new clients for like a one-on-one, for one-on-one sessions, both from word of mouth. And I sold my first like package that I created with Hailey, actually, where it had a comma, and I was terrified. And I was like, oh, somebody just like invested in that. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Like I've been, it took a while, but I had somebody invest in that. So that was really great. And then, oh boy, I'm looking at a list right in front of me of like a ton of potential clients that are on the table, a lot of discovery calls that are in the works, and then a bunch of organizations that I've been wanting to connect with. But I'm actually traveling to Vegas in November to attend the Actors Under Construction Summit, and I'm going to give 2 workshops there. So if you're an actor and you're interested in that, that would be a great opportunity to expand your network and to learn more about the audition process, and it's just great. Hailey, can we put a link in there for that?
Yeah, absolutely. Send me all after this. We'll put them
okay. And then, so I'm doing that in November, and that was through a LinkedIn connection from Hailey. What else?
That's okay. So yeah, I connected Demi with one of my contacts, and this is one of the things for private clients. Like my Rolodex is yours. So like I've had a lot of my clients do summits and do podcasts and things like that were from intros, because intros, and this is a lesson for the episode, if you can get a personal intro to somebody, it goes way further than you just cold outreaching to them. But yay, I'm so glad that's actually from that. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. And then I'm speaking to dance parents at the Chicago Dance Masters Association in November. So that's a new collaboration. Traveling to Denver end of September for National Dance Education Organizations Conference, presenting there on mental toughness with Dr. Chelsea Pirati. So that will be really fun. Oh boy, just signed a new partnership with a dance studio in Chicago. Just signed a new partnership with a studio in Indiana. And like I said, I'm still waiting on a few that are just on the table. So there is a lot under the works.
Hey, congratulations. That is super awesome.
Yeah.
All right. And did you have any big aha moments or things that you feel more confident about or that you learned through this process?
Definitely how to approach social media. Yeah, it's such a huge thing. Of just like my mindset of like, this is something for me, just an opportunity for me to share. Also the concept of serving first has always been, I've always aligned with that, but bringing that a little bit more to the surface has been really helpful. Of like, look, I'm just here to help you, and like, let's figure it out together. And whether that's like creating freebies for people or like just talking to somebody about what I do, it's just like, hey, I'm here to help, and it's an amazing investment, but if you're not ready to make that investment, that's okay. I'm still here for you, because you never know. They could be like, oh, these resources are really great. These freebies are really great. I'm going to invest in, the more larger packages or offerings. Yeah, so that's been really great. Those 2 things.
Awesome. Yes. And one of the things I think we did was we went through your website, did a little bit of an audit on that. You created an email freebie, I think, for the first time, right? Yeah. During the program. Yep. Then learning how to do LinkedIn for your some of your partnership, connections and things like that. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing is, I think starting the podcast is, I think you probably tell us about that journey. What big aha there?
Okay, well, I did think of one more.
Oh, okay.
As it relates to social media specifically, when you were saying, like, you're looking at my followers and you're like, who are these people? You need to reach out to them. And I was like, "Ugh, I need to do what?" Like, I was like, I don't want to do that. Like, I was like, that's so like, I don't want to be salesy. Like, I don't want to be like this is just like, it was so uncomfortable for me. And actually, now that I'm doing that, I'm following, between 10 to 20 people a day. And the people that are following me, I'm reaching out via Messenger. I'm saying, hey, thanks for like following me. Is there anything I can do to help? And I've actually booked 2 discovery calls from that. Right. And that was something that absolutely terrified me, that I was like, "Ugh, I don't
Yeah.
know."
Well, here's the thing. There's a wrong approach to that. There's an approach of, hey, like, want to buy my program? Or, hey,
Yeah.
like, can I send you my blah, blah, blah right now? Like,
Yeah.
but you're leading again with, how can I help? What kind of content do you want to see? Things for the follow, just like
Mhm.
welcoming them. So I think
Mhm.
there's a big difference. And I'm not a big fan of like, I've gotten so many messages on LinkedIn and Instagram that are like these long salesy messages where it's like, whoa, I don't want that. But if it's a question, and
Mhm.
if it's a, how can I be useful to you type of thing,
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
think that goes a lot further than the other approach. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but it is scary because it's a new connection and, you just don't know where it's going to go. But
Yeah.
having that no expectation of just more so like, well, do you need help with anything? What kind of content do you want to see? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
okay. Um, okay. So has there been any, what would you say to somebody on the fence about getting business support and getting a business coach and or working with me if they're watching this and they're like, I don't know.
Hmm. I would actually I would put it back on them and ask more of an internal question of like, what are you all about? And if you're truly committed to the work that you're doing, you're not going to be able to do it alone. And for you to think that you can do it alone is just false. You can't. And kind of breaking down those barriers of, I need help and that's okay. And if I'm really, this is a goal, this is a vision that I have, then it's okay to ask for help. And I'm going to seek the proper help from that person who this is their job, right? Like, you as a business owner, you have so many jobs. What if you could like take something off of your plate? That like just relieves me to like the utmost degree of like, I don't have to think about 80,000 things about marketing, because I can have somebody to bounce ideas off, or I can get some feedback off of something. And I feel more confident in what I'm putting out there because it's gone through somebody's eye that this is their specialty. And I think generally speaking, that's how I like to approach the world, is like, I have my skill sets. Sure, I need to get to like a certain competency. Like, I have to at least know how to work Excel. I have to at least know how to work, my website so that I can update it. But I don't need to create it. I don't need to like be a pro at Excel, because there are other people that's their thing. And so giving them the space and the opportunity to do that just takes more off of my plate, gives them a chance to shine at what they do, and then I'm learning. So, yeah, I would actually phrase it of more like an internal question.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Why do you think you have to do it all on your own too? I think
Mhm.
some people are like, take pride in like, no, I got to do it all by myself. And I think, why? Right. One of the other questions I wanted to, well, I just wanted to highlight because you had mentioned this before, and I think maybe if somebody doesn't know my program, they might not know this. So, like when you're talking about how do I respond to a certain situation or what do I say and blah blah blah, I do in private coaching customize things. So like you and I would go in WhatsApp and I would send you like, here's what I would say or whatever. But also I have a lot of like templates and resources, and you got to see some of that only the ones that applied to like what we were talking about, because it doesn't make sense for me to send you like 5 million documents just for no reason. But when it would come up like, oh, podcast pitch, here you go. Oh, this like, so was there any, same thing with like discovery call, was there any like templates that stood out to you or things you liked about those?
Oh my gosh, the program pitch and the content builder and the creating my story. What's the one that also program pitch, similar to program pitch?
Oh, program pitch doc. Yeah. That's like your sales page or like.
Yeah. And there's another one. There was another one that was similar to program pitch. I reference those on like a weekly basis. Like, yeah. So those were by far really, really impactful.
Cool. Yeah. Amazing. So Demi, what's your favorite thing about entrepreneurship?
Oh. That I can impact the world and impact my community, and provide support in ways that I wish I had, to others. So creating something from nothing is really invigorating for me. And then knowing that it's of use.
I love it. I love the whole idea of creating something from nothing. That is just such a cool thing to be able to look back at where you started and where you're going. And speaking of where you're going, what's next for you? Any exciting things you want to announce or share about what's going on for you these days?
I mean, of course, I'm releasing podcasts on a weekly basis. So if that's something that you're like, sounds interesting, go ahead, listen to an episode and, give it a follow so that you're updated, or subscribe. You're updated when new episodes are released. I also have some freebies that I release on like, oh my gosh, a monthly, weekly basis at this point, that you can just download and have. It's like an e-workbook. They're really nice. There are a lot of like reflection questions and then activities for you to do so that you're really kind of honing in on that mental skill or strategy. And it's not just becoming like just chatter in your brain. It's like concrete, which is really, really helpful. Kind of similar to what Hailey offers in like all of her documents. And then of course I've launched my mental skill of the month. So on a monthly basis, I talk about one mental skill and I focus on that. So like on my Instagram, you're going to see a lot about self-talk in July because the skill of the month is self-talk. So yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at Beyond Horizons Performance. And then also you can find me on LinkedIn and Facebook as well.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for being here today and doing this interview. And I have to tell you guys, I see a lot of clients' content and documents and things like that. And Demi's it's so good. Like I would listen to your podcast on a walk because it's very much, I think as business owners, we are performers every single day. We have to show up for our business. We have to take rejection. We have to deal with nerves showing up live or in a new launch. And what if it doesn't happen? And I think it's very similar to like, I used to be in acting growing up and I was not ever very good at it. And you would go on these auditions with no promise of ever hearing anything back. You'd have to sell yourself in a very short period of time. And it really does apply to business. And I think some of the things that in concepts and like mental skills you share totally apply to entrepreneurs and business owners. So check out Demi's podcast, check out her freebies. She's very intentional about what she creates. And I love that about her. And we'll talk soon. Thank you so much. And just for everybody listening, if you are listening to this podcast, you're like, I want help with my business, but maybe you can't do private coaching or something like that. I do have the Thriving Coach membership. It's a great way to get started. I have private coaching. I have my group program. So there's options. So you can go to HaileyRowe.com to book your free strategy consult and find out what option fits for you. And thanks again, Demi.
Thank you so much.
Talk soon.
Hey, thanks so much for listening to this podcast. And if it's really helpful for you, I'd really appreciate if you share it and or leave a written podcast review. This tells the podcast sites that our show is useful and it will be promoted to more people that way. Thanks again.